we have an interest of the people of South Africa at heart. We must inform our people that yesterday's court case was actually not on the contents of the charter.
Okay.
The chamber had applied for an interdict and review, which would have meant that this matter will be heard in 2 years' time. As a responsible government, we engaged them and we engaged the courts and said, this matter is in the best interest of all South Africans. Can we speed up the hearing? If chamber wants to review, let's give them a chance to say what is their problem with transformation. But we are against interdict. You cannot set aside the charter because it has to do with developing people. Now, the courts find us being reasonable, and we are grateful that we have been given a date now in December to hear this matter once and for all and lay it to rest. So people of South Africa should not be deceived that yesterday's case was about hearing the matter.
Okay.
We now have laid the foundation that the matter can be heard. And as I've said, we are grateful to all the parties that we have given a date this year. It means beyond December, we will know where we stand with this charter. If we implement it, it means January. We will focus on implementing what we have promised our people.
And those dates are then the 13th and 14th of December?
The 13th and 14th of December is when the people of South Africa will then hear the stance of everybody, because we have put our stance on the table. We want our people's lives to be better. We want our people to move away from shacks. We want them to share in the wealth of their own country where they are born. Let the other side come and tell the nation and tell the world what is the problem with what we are suggesting.
What's the issue with transformation? Now, Minister, then, when this mining charter came out and you introduced it, there was a lot of backlash from a lot of individuals. There was also some backlash from the Chamber of Mines. The Chamber of Mines is accusing you of making statements in Perth that this charter is law and it should be implemented in the next 12 months. Some people can maybe view this as some sort of tension between yourself as the Minister and the Chamber of Mines. Would you like to clear up and clarify whether there are any issues between you and the Chamber?
Well, I want to say I am beginning to be worried by how some of the leaders, especially in the Chamber of Mines, conduct themselves outside this country. Because I believe when we are outside the country, we are all having one duty to attract investment to the country. But what I've seen in Perth is contrary to that on their side. It brings a question that, are people patriotic to their own country? You know what we have done in South Africa? To allow leaders in particular in this sector and other sectors who are not South Africans in the first place, to begin to lead the sector, and they are proving not to be patriotic to the country. What I said in Perth is that I have taken a decision to suspend this charter so that I give everybody a chance to say what is their problem. But that does not mean the charter is non-existent. The charter is existing. We gazetted it in June on the 15th. It is law. As we speak, we understand that it is a matter of discussion at the court level. But it is there. It exists. It's just that it's suspended because I've made that undertaking, because I'm reasonable. I do not want to grandstand at the expense of my people. Where I need to engage people, I do engage people. Where I find it reasonable to allow people to tell the country what is their problem. I do so that people can see that radical economic transformation in this country is not just a slogan. It's a need, it's a necessity, and I believe that should not paint a picture that I have tension with the chamber. I do not have.
Okay. That's been clarified. Minister, at the same conference that took place in Perth, the CEO of the Chamber of Mines made allegations against you, allegations of corruption, and also stated that, you know, the industry has lost confidence in you as a minister. What is your reaction to those statements?
Well, I interact on daily basis with the industry. It is now fashionable for those who oppose transformation in this country to ridicule anybody who raises that point sharply and place it on the table. My request is simple. Let us all be patriotic. These business companies have made their money with this government. The masses of South Africa must also be given a chance also to benefit from their mineral resources. There is nobody except this government who has a sole right to pinpoint who must be empowered and who must not. Government, as elected by the people, must actually play that responsibility. And as a Minister for Mineral Resources, I would not back down from working with the people, empowering them, irrespective of who says what.
In that same conference, there was also other allegations made, allegations that the industry is in crisis and the implementation of the mining charter will have a negative impact on business, have a negative impact on investor confidence. How do you respond to those allegations?
23 years down the line, we had an upswing and downswing of the economy in the sector. Our people are not empowered still. I have a view that if we do not stand together and address this matter, the people themselves at some point will see both the government and the sector very useless. And in the interest of everybody as government, we're saying let us be responsible. There is no single time where the companies themselves will stand up and say now is the right time. They have failed to do so when there was an upswing of commodities in terms of price, and they have failed actually to ensure that they save the money that was not even projected. Now, we can't say transformation will wait for any other time. If there are any issues in the sector, we are willing to address them, but not at the expense of transforming this country.
Minister, let's zoom in onto the issue of transformation. You did mention that you feel the industry is not sufficiently transformed. Do you believe that the implementation of this mining charter will do exactly what the country is needing? Just talk us through some of that untransformation that's taken place in the industry over the last couple of years.
Yesterday, there was a workshop of the coal miners, about 70 of them, not organized by us, organized by DTI. I have a feedback that all of them said this mining charter, which is a subject of court discussion as we speak, is the right tool to take them to the destination of transforming the country. We are not yet there because we have said 30%. Because we are reasonable, we want to give our people enough time to have experience. But everybody agrees that this is the tool that will kickstart development and transformation in this sector. And as we consulted, nobody disagreed with that fact.
Okay. Minister, I just want to quote here. You've also said that the mining industry has exaggerated its claims that it was the charter which resulted in the loss of confidence. The Chamber says that real mining GDP at 226 billion rand is less than 242 billion rand reported in 1994. What can this loss be attributed to, and what are the concerns around these issues?
Well, let's look at the history. This is the third charter. When the first charter was gazetted, commodity prices went down. The second charter, the same. In fact, if you look at the time when this was gazetted, you'll discover that commodity prices regain their strength in no time. When we went to technical recession, there were two sectors which carried the economy of the country. It was agriculture, it was mining. And at that particular time, we had already gazetted the charter. So it's not true that this charter has caused havoc in the sector. People will want to get those narratives to say there are job losses because of this. We have engaged with companies and they say that's not the case. There is proof to that effect and people must not be misled.
Minister, just almost in closing, there seems to be two issues here. One, the issue of transformation that needs to take place in that industry, but also the issue of business and investor confidence. How do you find a balance between those two and how do you marry those two?
Well, I can tell you with certainty that when I was in Perth, we agreed even with investors.
Okay.
And the Chamber of Mine was represented there, that in any country, the needs of government and the needs of people and the needs of investors must be balanced. I agree with that. Anybody who comes to this country to come and invest must realize what they have invested and make money. But that does not mean when they do so, they should do so at the expense of the real owners of the minerals of the country, the people of South Africa. We are all agreeing that that should be balanced. That is why in the first place, I was not hard to say, let me wait until December for this matter to be discussed and get clarity on it. So we are reasonable. We are not saying kill the investors. We're not saying that. We're saying to the investors, come in and invest in South Africa under these conditions. And many investors, it's a fact, they have said they do not have a problem with that.
Okay.
And we welcome that.
That's positive and it's a good thing to hear, but now we do know that those two dates have been set aside, the 13th and 14th of December this year, where you kept saying that you are a lenient individual and you're willing to listen to the Chamber of Mines and their concerns. But what are you hoping the way forward is? When are we wanting to see the final implementation? You have said that it has been implemented, but when will we see that then moving forward and us finally seeing some sort of results in this regard?
We will respect the fact that this is a subject of the court discussion.
Yes.
And we have made an undertaking to suspend it. On the 15th of December, we would be knowing the result of the court case, and if the court favors us, which we believe is a reasonable thing, we will implement, starting from the 15th, going forward, because we think it is only fair for us to do that. We have waited so that Chamber can say their say, and we'll engage them. We'll go to them and engage them in between and say, tell us what is your real problem. If consultation is your real problem, if we had consulted, what would you say is the problem with this current charter? We want to know, because nobody has said what their problem is. Nobody has said they are against transformation. We are saying, let's stop playing politics with people's lives. If we have an issue, tell the country, tell the ministry, let's engage and find a solution.
And find those solutions.
Find those solutions and move forward.